That little horn that rises out of those 10 horns is, of course, the beast. And his kingdom is a revived Roman Empire of sorts.
We know how many people want actual Babylon the Great to be in Baghdad, but Babylon the Great is referred to because of the spirit it has.
We like to refer to the prophetic nature of Micah 5:5, which reveals the identity of the beast as none other than the Assyrian.
Thank you so much for joining us today on Our Jewish Roots. We are halfway through this great series. Can you tell us what's going on today?
It's the 5th stop. It's very subtle, nothing big. Just talking about the formation of the beast kingdom.
Which is like horrific. This is the bad stuff.
This is the bad stuff. You know, Babylon the Great, no big deal, except that it's going to be the most pivotal part of all the things that happen next.
That is true, and for years, Bible prophecy experts and teachers have looked to Rome, Italy, the European Union as the fulfillment of this, beast end-time kingdom. But we have a different thesis we like to propose in this series. It's going to be quite different from that, but there is biblical sound doctrine to back it up.
Okay, so Dr. Jeffrey Seif is sending you off on location, isn't he?
Yep,
He always
time
does.
to go there right now. Let's go.
And I stood on the sand of a sea and saw a beast rising out of a sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns, having 10 crowns upon his head. And on his heads were written blasphemous names. Guys, according to Revelation 17:15, the waters represent the goyim, the nations. The beast is a goy, he rises out of the waters. But this sand represents the Jewish people, the false prophet. Josh!
I got false prophet on you, brother.
Josh, stop getting sand on me.
It's false prophet.
Clearly, I don't understand genetics. Oh, hey, look, it's Jeff.
Gentlemen, you have heard about fake news. I want you to go talk about fake Jews, one in particular, Herod, referred to as Herod the Great. You tell the world that he was not so great. He was a fake. He was diabolical at the heart, pretended to be serving the Jews, but go visit the site that he dedicated to Caesar Augustus. Last I checked, he wasn't a Jew, Caesar Augustus. Tell the story, it's great there, and I'm reminded as you do, Yeshua's talked about false prophets and false people emerging. Well, Herod was as false as you can get. Go tell the story.
Ooh, plot twist.
Matthew 24:24 says, false Christs and false prophets will rise up and deceive, even be elect, showing signs and wonders. There was no greater poser than Herod the Great, who built 3 temples to honor Caesar Augustus. They just recently discovered the 3rd one at Horvat Omrit. Let's hit the road.
Herod the Great was duplicitous, okay? That Antichrist figure, trying to be a false Messiah. I mean, he was never going to be a Messiah, let's be honest with ourselves.
But you know the story from Matthew 2, right?
Yeah.
He tried to kill a baby in Bethlehem to save his reign, but that wasn't the first time he tried to do something horrible to save his reign.
That's right. Herod's father was good friends with Julius Caesar, who met an untimely end, as you all know, according to history. When Caesar Augustus came to power, guys, Herod himself traveled all the way to Rome to kiss butt.
Oh, brother, you can't say butt on Christian TV.
He requests that he be made king of the Jews, and the Roman Senate procured that title for him. And he built 3 temples to Caesar Augustus to try to appease that man. Now, one was in Samaria, one was in Caesarea, and we are heading right now to the 3rd one, Horvat Omrit. It's only 2 miles from Caesarea Philippi, and we got to hike there to find it.
A hike?
He knows that I cannot stand cardio. Why is it required to do cardio to teach the Bible?
I think we can all agree. Josh could use some cardio.
Oh, man, let's go. Why is this a hike? Well, I stayed back to get behind the scenes shots and everybody left me. I got bees right here. I got demon mountains over here. But all my peoples are gone. The only thing they left for me are these cow pies. So much for being a cinematographer.
Come on, Josh.
I'm not gonna lie, my brother's very smart, but he likes to jack with nature. He likes to jack with birds and bees. I think he's made a decision right now that he's gonna jack with these bees. He says he has a rumbly in his tumbly, and he wants some honey. I don't know, Davey.
Guys, perseverance. That's how you get somewhere. You don't just hit an obstacle and give up. Everybody's trying to go back to the hotel, and Caleb's like, no, wait. I found a route. Let's go here. And he forced everybody.
Of course, everybody. I just strong-armed him, okay? But we found it. Horvat Omrit. The final third temple missing of 3 temples that Herod the Great built for Caesar Augustus.
You know, this series is called Roadmap to Armageddon, and one of the things that's so important about maps is they help you get where you're going. If you don't have a map, you get lost, and that's why we've done this, because the Bible, you can get lost in it if you don't know where to look. In fact, where we're at right now has taken us hours and several kilometers of hiking to try to find the right place because all the maps were wrong.
Well, we finally found it. Horvat Omrit.
How did everybody and their toddler find it before us? How did they even hike this far?
Clearly, we are not navigators.
Built by Herod the Great. He was a master builder. He built Herodium, he built Masada, he built Caesarea. He refurbished the second temple to try to gain brownie points with the Jews, but it didn't work because he was a half-breed. His father was an Edomite. So he claimed he was king of the Jews, but they didn't like that, so he tried to marry a Hasmonean princess to try to pacify them. They didn't like that. He didn't trust her, so he killed her and his sons through her. He was so insecure and fearful that someone was going to take his throne that you can understand when some wise men came to him and told him the Messiah was born, why he sent out these soldiers quickly to kill baby Jesus, Yeshua, because he believed he was a Messiah.
So he built this right here in 20 BC, 40 meters tall, 120 feet.
Taller than the Parthenon.
And you know this because, as I said, the remnants are right here, and it's taken us all day to find. Daniel 9:27, then he shall confirm a covenant with many for 1 week, but in the middle of the week he shall bring an end to the sacrifice and offering.
The beast becomes the ultimate peace negotiator. He takes this already existing peace treaty, a brit, a covenant, and he strengthens it. He makes it firm, and he gets all these nations to agree with him, doing something that no American president would ever do, could ever do, but they all tried.
You know what always dumped out of me about the American presidents, even the godly ones that we've had? They always wanted to be the one to make the peace deal between Palestine and Israel. I'm sitting there asking, so you want to be the Antichrist? I'm no genius, but doesn't make a ton of sense.
Well, the most recent peace deal attempted was the Abraham Accords. On January 28, 2020, when that was signed, Josh and I went, hold on, this is dangerous. While all the evangelicals in the Christian community saying, this is great, they were lauding it, and we're like, but it divides the land of Israel. And God says, do not divide his land. And what happened immediately after that peace deal was signed, Josh? Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu lost the seat of power, so did Donald Trump, and then COVID took over the world.
Well, those consequences seem minor. We know that the beast is going to end up succeeding. He's going to split the world into 10 districts. It's not going to be the 10 European nations that most theologians have taught, however. Revelation 17:12 through 13, the 10 horns which you saw are 10 kings who have received no kingdom as yet, but they receive authority for 1 hour as kings with the beast. These are of one mind, and they will give their power and authority to the beast.
Thanks to Daniel 11:40 through 45, we know the identity of 3 districts from those 3 kings of a 10-king nation. First, the district to the far north, which includes Russia, probably to pacify them from their failure at the Battle of Gog and Magog. We get a king of the south, which represents the northern African district. We know 3 countries listed in that district, Egypt, Ethiopia, and Libya. Then the famous kings of the east, you got it, that China district, which includes a 200 million man army.
We know that these kings are probably demonically inspired. We know that they're probably vying for power against Satan as well. And we know that within this fight, the 10 horns that Daniel talks about represents what, brother?
Out of that 10 horns will come a little horn. The beast himself will rule over all those horns, and those 3 kings will rebel against him.
Daniel 7:23 through 25. The fourth beast shall be a fourth kingdom on earth, which shall be different from all the other kingdoms, and shall devour the whole earth, trample it, and break it into pieces. The 10 horns are 10 kings who shall arise from this kingdom, and another shall rise after them. He shall be different from the first ones, and shall subdue 3 kings. He shall speak pompous words against the Most High.
That little horn that rises out of those 10 horns is, of course, the beast. And that's this revived Roman Empire of sorts. Why most people think it's going to be centered in Rome itself, in Italy. But I don't think so, brother.
No, brother, I don't either. And we're here to set the record straight. But to do so, we have to head to the seat
Of Herod the Great.
Yes, his duplicitous Roman side at Caesarea Maritima.
Let's go.
Revelation 17:3 through 5. And I saw a woman sitting on a scarlet beast, which was full of names of blasphemy, having 7 heads and 10 horns. The woman was arrayed in purple and scarlet, and adorned with gold and precious stones and pearls, having in her hand a golden cup full of abominations, and the filthiness of her fornication. And on her forehead a name was written, Mystery, Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots and of the abominations of the earth.
The Great Whore is a city that heads the kingdom of the beast. In fact, it's the economic center of the beast and the center of all commerce for the one world religion. It destroys all of the saints of God who call on Yeshua, as evidenced in Revelation 17:18.
Well, Caesarea Maritima was the Roman seat of power for the Judean province, the most populated city and the den of depravity.
I will never understand why people do depraved things where bears live. What if a bear came to your house and did depraved stuff all where you live? Sinners.
22 BC, Herod the Great, who built all these facilities, he wanted to make a port city that was greater than Athens and greater than Alexandria, Egypt, and so he used advanced technology to do so. He built storehouses, he built public baths, he built all these different facilities, even temples, like the second temple to Caesar Augustus. We went to Horvat en route, which was one of them.
You know, Rome's reach covered all over the world.
Yeah.
Wide reach of this. And this city is going to cover a wide reach as well, but it's not going to be centered where Rome was. It's going to be a maritime city and a port.
Yeah.
That the angel helped John understand where it was going to be, and we're going to explain that today.
Yeah, so let's talk about that Babylon the Great. Where is it, Josh?
I would like to know myself, brother.
I really have always been curious.
Revelation 17:9 through 11. Here is the mind which has wisdom. The 7 heads are 7 mountains on which the woman sits. There are also 7 kings. 5 have fallen, 1 is, and the other has not yet come. And when he comes, he must continue a short time. The beast that was and is not is himself also the 8th, and is of the 7, and is going to perdition.
We made it to Caesarea Maritima. Those 7 kings are a part of 7 world-dominating kingdoms from times past. They held Israel under subjection, including Egypt was the first, the second was Assyria, then Babylon, then the Persian Empire, finally Greece. Those were the 5 that had fallen. The 6th was the kingdom of John's day that was still around. That was the Roman Empire. The 7th, the kingdom that was to come, is a revived Roman Empire of sorts, and that would be the 10-king conglomerate. Out of those 10 kings would arise the 8th, which is the beast. Are you confused yet?
Yes, I am. As is everyone else.
So much math, brother. You know that the beast that the horse sits upon is also referenced as a city on 7 hills. Rome has been called a city upon 7 hills, but it's really the eastern portion of the Roman Empire that matters to us right now, because that territory is the same territory that Antiochus Epiphanes held in power. And we know that the prophetic fulfillment of that is a dual prophecy that is linked with the beast. So it's the eastern portion of the Roman Empire that's going to succeed, and it's the western portion that's going to fall.
And it did, historically, in times past. That Eastern Roman Empire became the Byzantine Empire. And the capital of the Byzantine Empire was called the City on the 7 Hills, just like Rome. But it was Istanbul, Turkey, modern Istanbul, Constantinople in its day. It would carry on for 1,100 years until it would become the Ottoman Empire. This is still that Roman Empire of the day, and it would finally end in 1922. So if you look at things, Rome was the capital of the Roman Empire for 350 years, but Constantinople, Istanbul, for almost 1,700 years.
You love math in this episode, brother. We know how many people want actual Babylon the Great to be in Baghdad. But Babylon the Great is referred to because of the spirit it has. Now in Revelation, it even talks about Jerusalem having the Sodom spirit, right?
Yeah, Sodom and Egypt.
But the deal is that Revelation 18:17 says that this great horse city has to have a harbor, and Baghdad is landlocked.
That's absolutely true, Josh. It's interesting that this Syrian Seleucid division of Antiochus Epiphanes' dominion is that same territorial region as present the kingdom of Assyria. So, if you've ever watched the Bearded Bible Brothers online, you know that we like to refer to the prophetic nature of Micah 5:5, which reveals the identity of the beast as none other than the Assyrian.
So the beast is of Assyrian descent?
Assyrian descent, Assyrian
So
bloodline.
that basically means that he could be from Turkey,
Yeah,
Iraq,
yeah.
or even Syria.
Even northern Syria, yeah.
So if he could be from any of these places, that's awesome, but he's going to rule first in Istanbul until he conquers Jerusalem. So
Yes.
that means that the one world government has to be in Istanbul.
Headquartered right there, Constantinople.
It's amazing down here in the caves below the Temple of Augustus. Still here. You know, another interesting part of this revelation was given to none other than Nebuchadnezzar, another Antichrist in Daniel 2.
And it's very interesting that I find from this story that you should all know of Nebuchadnezzar's dream of this great statue. You know, it had a head of gold, which represented the Babylonian Empire, and a chest and arms of silver, the Persian Empire. The thighs of bronze was the Greek Empire, the legs of iron, the Roman Empire, the toes and the feet, the very most important to this story, is because they came from that iron legs. They were partly iron, partly clay. The 10 toes represents the 10 kings of the beast kingdom. Daniel 2:41 through 43. Whereas you saw the feet and toes, partly of potter's clay and partly of iron, the kingdom shall be divided. So the kingdom shall be partly strong and partly fragile. As you saw iron mixed with ceramic clay, they will mingle with the seed of men, but they will not adhere to one another, just as iron does not mix with clay. They will mingle themselves with the seed of men. They aren't human. They is referring to are the 10 kings. They are obviously hybrids, Nephilim. They were made that way through transhumanism, I believe. By receiving the mark of the beast. If you watch the Bearded Bible Brothers, take a look at our episode, The Mark of the Beast and Transhumanism. But it's interesting that this kingdom of these 10 people, it's like a religious worship at first, this revived Babylonianism. And they're worshiping at the center of Istanbul, Constantinople, while in Israel, the Jews are worshiping at the third temple finally, the one true God. If you look behind me, this is a platform of the temple Herod the Great made for Caesar Augustus. It's the second of 3 temples. We went to Horvat and Re. You saw that third one. But Josh, we need to get back to the dream of Nebu.
Nebuzi, that's a cute nickname for Nebuchadnezzar. Well, the final conclusion in this dream, a rock, Yeshua, is carved out of the mountain and crushes the toes of the statue, destroying the beast kingdom. Then that rock begins to grow and becomes the kingdom of Yeshua's millennium.
Amen.
Daniel 2:35, and the stone that struck the image became a great mountain and filled the whole earth. Verse 44, and in the days of these kings, the God of heaven will set up a kingdom which shall never be destroyed. Now there's one last story to tell here in Caesarea, and it comes from the book of Acts, chapter 12. We have another Herod, Herod Agrippa, the grandson of Herod the Great. And he makes a fatal mistake that ends the rule of his family and any Jewish kings in Israel.
Right. And from here, that Antichrist, Herod Agrippa, after failing to kill Peter the Apostle, procured a peace deal with his enemy, Tyre and Sidon.
And just like the beast in the future, this master negotiator garnered the praise and the adoration of all the people here.
Acts 12:21-23. On the appointed day, Herod, wearing his royal robes, sat on his throne and delivered a public address to the people. They shouted, "This is the voice of a God, not of a man." Immediately, because Herod did not give praise to God, an angel of the Lord struck him down, and he was eaten by worms and died.
There will come a day when the beast will garner the praise and adoration of the entire world, and he will blaspheme the God of heaven. But by a twist of fate, he will be assassinated by a mortal head wound. But Satan himself will revive him and indwell his body and commit the abomination of desolation. We want you to continue with us on this journey, guys, as we follow the roadmap to Armageddon.
This spirit of the Antichrist, one world order, all of the things that the enemy has planned for the end times, it seems like fiction. And what a great gameplay for Satan to make it seem like it's a fairy tale, but in essence, he has been planning this coup since the beginning of time.
That's right, guys. And to delve deeper into how we can see the signs all around us of Satan's preparation for the coming of the beast, we spoke with J.B. Hixson. He's an expert in these matters, written several books about it. You're going to want to hear what he has to say.
What is the Luciferian conspiracy? Yes. Well, obviously we know who Lucifer is, Isaiah 14. That's their name for him. They call themselves Luciferians. Yep. They worship him. They dedicate their books to him. They pray to him. At the top level, they get their marching orders from him. So there's no question that there is a conspiracy. Yes. And so the greatest conspiracy of all is Satan working with evil spirits, demons, and human accomplices, the three of them, working together to take over the world. And that's biblical, and what I've come to find out is it's also quite well documented in history.
You've heard of the Pizzagate thing,
totally.
these ruling powers, you know, wealthy families, globalism, and all these things where they are preparing the steps, they're playing both sides, get all the currency together, digitize it, get everybody, you know, fighting against each other, remove this faction, set up and prop up this person, all for their end game goal, the arrival of the beast, the arrival of the Antichrist.
Yep, one world system. Now, a lot of people, especially now since the election and all these, the pandemic and all that kind of stuff, they are recognizing something's not right. There's something, things don't add up. But what very few people are doing is connecting it spiritually to the main cosmic struggle, right? So people call it the deep state or the global elite, and they're right, but they need to go a step further.
Yes.
Ephesians 6, our war is not against flesh and blood. Since the early 1900s, the Luciferians in the New World have been, you know, that's the Rockefellers, the Fords, the DuPonts, the Carnegies, have been setting in motion a plan to systematically dismantle this country because it's standing in the way of the one world system. So I think, you know, they're well on their way to bringing it down with the gender surrender movement and all these things. But that, if the rapture were to happen today, then maybe in the next, you know, few months, America falls apart. But here's the thing. It could fall apart before the rapture.
Yes, agreed.
You've heard it said that timing is everything. Now, while we are unsure of the exact timing of this, God knows, but Satan doesn't know. Is that correct? Like, he's not sure, where is this hitting?
Well, Satan doesn't know God's timing. He may have hints by reading prophecy, but God wrote it in a way that he can't even understand the prophetic word. But we are the children of light. We are meant to know and understand the prophetic words, and God reveals nothing without revealing it to his servants, the prophets, first.
So the Holy Spirit can give you insight, but Satan doesn't have that same the same eyes to read it
we
that
have
way.
The Spirit of the living God living inside of us. And that's why when we look at these things like Babel Hagdalah, the Babylon, the great kingdom, he may think he's going to be ruling the entire world. At this point, a lot of Bible prophecy teachers teach that. But the original Babel settled this score. With Nimrod, you know, when they came and they tried to build this tower to heaven, God said, we're not going to have this unity
of rebellion against me, he confounded the languages. And that's how we know the beast isn't going to rule over the entire world, and there's going to be dissension, even within his ranks, from kings that rise up in rebellion against him.
And was Hitler one of the kings to rise up and...
Well, we know that the spirit of the Antichrist has taken on many people over the time, and we believe that Hitler was one of them. The Roman Empire, people think, oh, well, it was just in Rome, but it was actually only capitalized in Rome for 350 years. Istanbul is where it was capital for 1,700 years. So when we look at that empire, the enemy has always been trying to bring things about because he doesn't know the scripture as well, like he thinks he does. And so he tried with World War I with the Ottomans. He tried in World War II, bringing Italy in as the axis. He's always ambitious, but he doesn't know what he's doing. And so we're going to see that happen again. Babylon the Great, this pseudo capital of the world, is a center of perverse religion, of the one world religion. But as Caleb said, there's always dissension in the ranks, so it's not just going to encompass everything. They're fighting amongst their own ranks as well.
Ooh, it's a lot.
Your insight has been so great in all of this teaching, and I believe that you have a lot more series in your brains going on. You're kind of working 24/7, thinking of more things to come. We couldn't do any of this without your help. We want to send them back to Israel. We thank you for donations and your help getting us to get you guys there.
Speaking of Israel, we take tours when we can, when the doors are open. We are there, and we would love to have you experience for yourself the streets, the paths where Yeshua, where Jesus walked. We'd love for you to go with us. We'll be right back.
Our resource this week, the book, The Iranian Menace in Jewish History and Prophecy by Dr. Jeffrey Seif. As Iran continues to capture the world's attention with threats and tactical support of Israel's enemies, Dr. Seif uses scriptural and secular evidence to support his case for the Iranian Armageddon connection. Contact us and ask for the book, The Iranian Menace. Kirsten and I have had lots of questions through this series, through this episode, and thank you for answering a lot of that today. It's been great. What's coming up next week?
Well, next week we're going to be talking about the third temple, and we're going to contrast that worship of Elohim with that one world worship of Babylon the Great, that worship to demons. It's going to be interesting.
Third, not the fourth. Third, not the fourth.
Third, not the fourth temple. That's right.
The enemy loves to blur the lines today and try to make us think that all this stuff is acceptable, but there's clear demarcations, and that's part when you see the worship next week of the demon worship versus God's worship. So guys, we want you to tune in next week. We want you to remember Shalom Shalom Yerushalayim.
Pray for the peace of Jerusalem. As a 100% viewer-funded ministry, your gifts allow us to bring you our weekly television series, social media outlets, website, and other ministry endeavors. Call us anytime at 1-800-WONDERS and ask about this week's resource. Please remember we depend on tax-deductible donations from viewers like you.